and keeping the discussion going for people that are mattering, will adopt the project. So I think it's extremely stupid. I do not agree with it. A year ago, I had a few tiny groups, but the purpose of my we didn't had time here to speak because there were too many people here speaking. I've made a few tiny groups that were closed after their purpose was defeated. But these people, they don't have this problem. They are in the exact opposite situation. This group is empty now, and they decided to go and make a tiny group to talk there. It's extremely stupid. It doesn't help the project at all. It actually hurts it, and I don't know why they keep doing this.
Adrian, you better go to the other chats and bring them back here.
I
That
don't
sounds
want
like a
my
good
name
idea.
to appear in that group. I don't want to give any validity to any of those
Hmm.
groups.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did notice in this group, the one downside was there were some big egos flying around, and everyone really wanted to sound like the smartest guy in the room. It was a bit of a turnoff. So, um, I'm not missing that part.
I still have to clean in the
What really
kitchen.
has happened is the troll won. When they started making us raise their hands, the people started dropping off, so other people went to other place, and they didn't relieve the raise the hand thing early enough, and so the troll has won.
Yeah, they didn't stop the hand racing thing because the troll was keep coming back.
Controls, man.
And the troll, it's an admin on that group. This is the most stupidest thing ever.
Well, I'll sacrifice myself as being a troll in that group. You want me to tell me that the group is? You want to DM me what the group is, and I'll go in there and give them a taste of their own medicine.
They don't have a link to join it. You have to get invited by somebody else. Maybe ask Topcat to invite you because he was trolling them also.
Adrian will bite you.
I'm not in that group.
I know I'm only kidding.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's so stupid because some of those people they had some value here in this group, and now after seeing that they do not get it and they keep going there instead of coming here and helping the adoption, I feel sad, to be honest. I mean, what the hell? They are not smart enough to decide what's more important, their free speech or the adoption of their own project or the growing of their own bags.
Hi guys.
Adrian, I want to ask this question. I staked on one hardware wallet. I want to do another stake. Should I open up a whole new hardware wallet for the new stake, or could I put it on the original stake?
You
You
can use
can.
the same hardware wallet if it's not compromised in any way.
So there's no problem.
Yep.
There's no
Yeah.
problem unless you want to, spread out the risk. Then you could. I mean, if you're talking about a Trezor, all it takes is that 25th word that you can add and create a brand new wallet address and stake on that. I think that's actually pretty good. I
It's
mean, it depends on like how
it's
much
too heavy
value,
for
how
me to
long of a
achieve.
stake it is.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
I think John Bon Jovi wanted to say something at some point. I'm not entirely sure.
Hi guys. No, I was just gonna say actually, I'm quite glad people aren't arguing so much. I came in this room a few months ago and it was just absolute chaos. Embarrassing, actually. I think there's a lot of anger taken out of the room here, but it is a lot quieter. So I don't know exactly what's happened. I think it'll probably pick up again once Richard sort of gives a hint as to when mainnet is coming around. But I don't think he's going to give a guesstimate again because of the 2 weeks thing. I think that just confuse people.
I wish they'd allow some sanctioned third-party projects to be talked about. We've discussed Pulse, PulseX, Pulsechain, all this so many times over and over and over again. There's nothing new, so people fade away, just like I did.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about Hedron and Icosa.
Richard needs to sanction that stuff and allow some other things to get on here now, because as long as we go and waiting with nothing new happening, why is anybody going to listen? So I can listen to Jake and Ader tell me how blessed we are and what his mom's doing? No.
Happily enough.
I mean, even ETH 2.0, do they have a chat room that was as buoyant and as busy as the Pulsechain one? Because I was impressed with how busy this community's been.
I don't know
You make
about
a good
one.
point. I doubt it.
Ben is the key word there.
Yeah, the problem with talking third parties here is that there will be like over 10,000 projects on Pulsechain. You cannot allow a few of them to talk here and a few of them to not talk here. And also with these third parties, there is like a conflict of interest, firstly, because that economic energy will not help us. It will go through Pulse, but it won't help us. And also what you can see in these third party groups, it's a lot of targeting. So people that are invested in these third parties are basically hunting newbies. And don't tell me this is not the case, because I know exactly what is the case. They're hunting newbies, they're sweet talking them, and then basically they're trying to spend all their cash into that project. And that doesn't help richer hard projects at all.
I hear what you're saying, but there are those projects that actually do help the hex price, that encourage hex staking. I won't name the names, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but the biggest third-party projects right now
Yeah, but
actually
it's not
do just
let one and the other one to not let it, because then it won't be equality. I mean, you either let them all and you make this forum a shithole, either let one
No,
Yeah,
no,
and
no,
you
that's not
continue
true.
to have
That's
adoption
not
for
true.
the full chain.
No, no, just the ones that are listed on the test net would be a good start.
Yeah, I don't see that working. I recall when there was a sacrifice for a third-party project that they were actively attacking this chat, and basically every
So
2 hours
so
or three
here
hours,
so here
like
so
five,
here
six
we're just
people
gonna
were
sit.
coming here and starting to talk, and in each sentence they will name their project like twice, and in 1 minute they will have named it like 15 times just to stick in people's head. And
I
it
hear
was
you.
garbage.
That
It was
is a
garbage.
concern. I,
Then
I hear you.
we
That's a
need
concern.
Richard to spike something. We could use Richard to spike it up a little, like some something.
So I wonder if I mean I hear 100% what you're saying. And I do realize that there does have to be a line drawn in the sand. There has to be a line drawn. But that being said, I wonder if there's some sort of like way that we could maybe just discuss one for a certain length of time and have that be limited, just to get some action back in here. Like, say, choose one of those projects, one of the better ones, and say, we're talking about them for, we're only going to allow discussion about that one project for a week. I don't know how you could actually implement that, but
Well,
it's got
like
to be.
some time of the day, like start at 3 to 5 U.S. West Coast time. You can talk about for 2 hours or something.
Yeah, but it won't be honest talk. It will be extreme shilling. It's very different.
Open up a can of worms. I get it. I'm just exploring ideas. You know, I think like you said, this chat'll start buzzing again when Pulsechain's released. I mean, it was pretty epic.
Yeah.
I think there should be two main things of chat. It should be security with the hardware. It should be also what Pulsechain is actually doing in terms of building on top of L1 Ethereum. You know, I think we all sort of get confused about what Ethereum is sometimes, you know, this mystic thing only like super geeks or Vitalik knows about. We just need to sort of, you know, start dipping into these more complex issues that we're going to be, that, you know, that the team have tackled. You know, we shouldn't fear the technology. We shouldn't fear to get sort of, you know, involved in what's happening, because otherwise it just sounds like we're just sort of mysticizing it more and more, and frankly we look like idiots.
If you want to ask something about Ethereum, I bet there will be people here very happily to answer you. So just come with the questions. We talked here about a lot of stuff. We even talked about oil change. I mean, it's not like you don't have free speech, but we want to keep this group for what is made, adoption of the pulse chain and not of the third parties. Basically, you can talk about Ethereum, Bitcoin, you can talk about oil changes, about pizza, you can talk about whatever makes you. Just try to leave out the third parties, because this message at the top with no third party talk was not here from the beginning. It happened after this forum was attacked multiple times until the regular chat wasn't regular anymore because of the shillers.
No, look, we can talk about cars, we can talk about pizza, of course, but I'm just saying, like, there was only a few select people, and rightly so, that would even know what sort of database Ethereum using, what sort of blockchain technology, you know, was going on. I love that. You know, if I come to Pulsechain, I want to be able to get the sort of nitty gritty on what this L1 you know, super layer or whatever it is that's being added to the, I wish there was more terminology as to what exactly Pulsechain is. I mean, I know the idea.
We need somebody to lead us. You know, the newbies need somebody to lead them down the path, like how to farm in testnet, how to provide liquidity and then stake it. There is no ABC to that. Like, go play with it, learn it yourself. You know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, do your own research on all of that, how it interacts. But look, I'm just saying, with the yellow paper and, you know, where we're going, where we're evolving from, that is very important to have someone as a sort of spokesperson who's behind the scenes. Because again, otherwise it feels, well, yeah, it just feels separate from, you know, as happening and more in the world. We're separate from the computers, you know, the AI, the machine learning. And why? You know, we should be learning the terminology. We should be learning to talk about the computer systems as part and parcel. I know it's boring to talk about it constantly, but you know, we should have more vocal on, you know, the exacts. You know, I've heard like AWS is involved. Where? How? You know, I want to know.
If you want to talk this kind of stuff related to L1, I think you should wait until you see Gamma or Elmayer in the chat and just put them the hardest questions ever. And they will take a lot of time to answer to you. They are great guys.
Well, from what I gather, POS is what is happening with ETH2, right? It's all moving over to POS rather than POW. But there's so much to that. It's like, you know, it really is a different. It's like a multiverse situation. You know, it's a hell of a lot of differences.
I think that one major issue here is to focus on the fact that we're not going to use all the electricity so that it can grab the normal people that have been hearing things like, oh, Bitcoin burns so much power, the power of Sweden every year, blah, 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 when we can reduce it down to 7 computers or something like that. But the emphasis of that saving of the environment is not strong enough.
Yeah, I guess nobody came to the questions to get to that point, but I bet if there will be people interested in this stuff, there will be people interested in answers.
Like when Richard had his Fox News interview, like I would have led with that. Like, here's a better way to do the same thing and draw interest, save the world and draw interest. It's everything Bitcoin is, but better.
I mean, the thing is, Richard is a fountain of knowledge. He's great. He's great at explaining. But as far as like having a wiki on, you know, what's happening with Pulsechain versus the information he's put out there, is very difficult to actually get the questions from the information he's given. Because there's so much.
No. What you do is you're like a politician. Somebody asks you up or down, and you don't answer them. You say sideways. You do what you want when they get done talking. You start, you lead, you have a forum, and you put it out there. When you have such a large audience, you want them to hear what they're hearing. And the thing is power consumption. If you could squash that down.
Yeah, I get that. But look, I mean, Vitalik is putting out a blog about what he keeps on his 40-liter backpack, you know, mountaineering journeys. You know, the guy is super brainy, but very, very like slippery when it comes to actually, you know, saying what
that
he's.
has nothing to do with power consumption. I'm talking about the power consumption. The power consumption, not Vitalik. Power consumption, and we need to let the general public know that our new thing is all of Bitcoin, but better because of the power consumption.
No, I agree, and it's proven that it's working. You know, it's operating, it's humming over. Like, as far as stress testing, it is a continual proof that, you know, it's running, it's happening. But I mean, it just feels like if someone comes to Pulsechain and wants to start a deeper conversation, it doesn't really. I mean, maybe I should go to the dev one, but you know, I don't want to get in the way of them sort of full pace and sort of keeping an eye on themselves on ETH2 and all the L1 stuff there. You know, I just feel like there's a lot of like technical stuff. I wish there was different angles in via this chat that we could.
Like if they were to, like, let's say Richard gets on the CNBC or MSNBC or whatever, and he's able to lead with the fact that he fixed the power consumption problem. It's a better Bitcoin. And you lead with that. You get everybody interested in saying, well, what is that? Oh, they fixed the problem. Maybe I'll look at it.
Yeah, look, absolutely. But I mean, it just feels as though we are a separate entity from Ethereum camp, but we're also striving for the same thing in terms of ETH 2.0, ZK rollups, and, you know, not relying so much on the massive POW tasks that are needed to eventually push through, you know, the overall sort of transactions.
So I think the biggest issues are the power consumption and the fact that you draw interest. If we focused on those two things and compared it to Bitcoin, all those Bitcoin people might say, hey, that sounds good. Now, guys like Saylor, they're not going to move because they got their butt in Bitcoin, but other people will move.
But again, Bitcoin is kind of separate totally. I mean, we are way, way, way more involved with Ethereum.
Yes, it doesn't matter. We want to get those Bitcoin people. We want to take away the advantage of first mover and move those people to us. How do we do it? Oh, power consumption and interest.
I think, Johnny, you are talking about HEX, and John Bonbon is more talking about PLS. That's why there is a misunderstanding in between you two guys.
I mean, here's one. It's proven that the system state is working on the testnet. You know, when the other day that the Ethereum developers said that Ropsten is working, we didn't really hear anything. We didn't hear anything that Ropsten's working our side, which we know it already is. So I just don't get like what I guess like the milestones that are being reached in terms of ETH 2.0 development and Ropsten and ZK rollups doesn't really sort of echo, as I would think it would, into the development sort of zeitgeist of Pulsechain.
I guess Richard is the one that will unite us back in this group when he comes out with more stuff to discuss.
Well, I'm thinking it's more because of the sort of validators and the spread system of sharing the validation tasks. But again, I mean, I just wish I could find out a lot more about it without being too caught up in the separate ecosystem away from the origin L1 technology, because we still are Ethereum.
Have you ever talked with that guy Gamma?
I'm not sure who that is. I've spoken to a few developers on here. They've been super brainy, and they've explained about the type of database that Ethereum has and this. And it was really interesting, but I don't know. I lose track. I find it very difficult to critically reflect on exactly what I'm gauging about the entire Pulsechain project at any one time.
So there is a guy that comes here. You can find him in the text chat also throughout the day, but from time to time he comes in the audio chat, and he's running a node also, and he's, I think, a developer, and he has a lot of server knowledge and stuff. I think you have to talk with him. So when you catch him online, his name is Gamma, and before his name has the Gamma in Latin. It's like a Y. And if you catch that guy online, talk with him.
I mean, would it be safe to say that the security aspect of the bridge is the main point that is holding this from release? Because I'm pretty sure that it's got huge to do with that.
I faded out with Romanian guys in the message.
You know, I'm seeing it work. I'm seeing testnet working. So it's not, you know, it works. It's just when it goes to what real world, you know, bridge, we need it 1000%. But I wish I had a little bit more insight into, like, you know, at one point there was an issue with certain amount of validators, and that was it. It was like, well, that was like the main issue that was like publicly put onto Twitter. There must be hundreds more things happening that are like constant. Is it open source? I mean, I forget.
I think Richard didn't made it to open. I mean, you can read the code if you go on GitLab, but I don't think it's open source in the meaning that you can take it and copy it and publish it under another name.
You know, like Vitalik's blog seems to have a philosophical issue or question every 2 weeks. You know, it's like we don't really get too vocal about any issues that would be delaying us. So I don't know if it's just we're holding for the market, you know, to pump at the right time. We got a fully working product, or is it just, you know, there's security aspects, or we're trying to do, you know, match where Ethereum are daily, because that's changing so fast, to meet ETH2 development.
Basically, the testnet was fully working, but they had to do those optimizations better now than after launch. I mean, the market conditions are not very good for launching now, so why not make the optimizations now rather than later? I mean, it was the right decision.
I mean, I used Gnosis chain the other day, and originally, like 2-3 months ago, I tried to pull off some XDAI or whatever, the XDAI stake, and it was hundreds of dollars, and the fees have really come down recently until, you know, they've done that thing with Ropsten on Ethereum, the upgrade or whatever recently. It's like $2 compared to like 200. So something's changed, but again, it's, where do I start researching that? It's so much technology, you know?
I bet that at some point Richard will say it's live and everything that is happening now will go away. And it will be again very crowded here.
I mean, let's not forget as well, like looking at the bigger picture, it's not going to be teams of humans who are going to be developing soon. It's going to be computers, and we're going to have to take interpret their progress on systems that have IQs way bigger than the human ability. Like, this is what fascinates me. Like books like Super Intelligence by Nick Burstow, or Bristow, I never get it right. But you know, the level of complexity that these computer systems are going to be running, and people are going to be waiting for them to work, because that's essentially what they're going to prove that they will have done over and over. You know, we can't just keep picking at straws and guessing the progress. We have to take some sort of semiotics from like development patterns in AI to actually sort of be confident in where these computers, supercomputers, are.
Yeah, I don't know too much at what you are referring exactly with AI and this.
Well, I think it was Karl Marx who said the system will run itself, meaning like capitalism won't actually need any people. We're seeing that already. But as far as like having faith in that and trying to relay it to people who are invested in it in one way or the other, it's difficult. Essentially, every security breach of late has been on a bridge, taking one L1 to another, confirming it in the middle, whatever. There's something that can be hacked pretty badly. So obviously, I guess it's a level of security in terms of not talking about exactly what's happening, but you're still applying it to the L1 that's sort of still in motion. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not massively frustrated. I'm interested. I want to know what angle to ask questions. You know, I want to come to this forum and learn a little bit more every day. You know, I want like Wikipedia type, you know, or a timeline at least. But you know, without sounding silly or sci-fi, I'm only going by what I can imagine.
Sorry, I'm DMing to somebody and I cannot be focused in two places, and what you're talking about, it's I cannot follow you very well.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was saying that I'm also DMing to somebody and I cannot follow very well what you're talking about. It's out of my range a bit.
Well, to be fair, my questioning is quite wide ranging and pretty non-specific, but I guess I'm just trying to say like, why don't we match the milestone goal that we're striving for in terms of the questions we're asking about the L1 and, you know, the whole thing with ZK rollup? We're all in this situation where we're wanting to take one big lot of data much easier and quicker across L1s to validate.
Yeah, but I don't know the technical problems at that level. So if you don't tell me what they are, I cannot follow you very well.
Well, this is what I was asking one of my first questions a while back, was what sort of database does the blockchain actually use? What is it that it logs all of these different things on? And someone mentioned something about the Ethereum database, and I looked into it. Again, this stuff is all like prosthetic knowledge as you start to learn as you go along. Because, I mean, unless you're developing on blockchain, you don't want to have to research this much. But all I'm saying is, like, a talk group on Pulsechain that is sort of afraid of looking at the nitty gritty of what the L1 that we're creating is, rather than just boiling it down to like elevator pitch, which is good to get newbies involved and whatnot. It would just be super cool to just say, you know, here are the core questions on technology. You know, who else is doing this? Because there are other chains, you know. I'm going to mention all of them, and a lot of people get hacked, and they've rushed to get to the point where we probably could be.
You lost signal. Yeah, I think you should make friends with the devs or something, because this chat is more for the adoption than for L1 technical problems and solutions. I mean, most of the people here will give away their seed phrase if they ask for it.